Hello, my spooky seekers, and welcome to episode 4 of Haunted Ohio Podcast with LeeAnn Fissel. Today we're going to be talking about an area that's very near and dear to my heart, Republic, Ohio. We're going to be talking about the Republic Ghost Train. The reason this is so personal to me is I grew up in this area. If you ask me where I'm from, I'll often say Republic or Tiffin area, and this is where I spent the formative years, was right around Republic, all of Seneca County really, but definitely Republic. And I currently live in Republic now, and this railroad tracks runs right behind my house. So yeah, it's pretty personal. The tragedy that sparked this legend is one for the history books, so let's dive right in with Chapter 1, History. Republic was founded in 1843 when Sidney Smith hired R.M. Shoemaker of Cincinnati to survey a new town in Scipio Township. He called the town Republic, but at that time most people called it Scipio Center. It's only 0.86 square miles, so it's a very tiny, at that point, town. In 1841, Republic was added to the rail line that came from Sandusky, and it became a trading center. Stores, warehouses, factories, all of that stuff popped up what was seemingly overnight. It nearly became the heart of Seneca County after a fire took the courthouse in Tiffin in 1841, but the bid was unsuccessful. The downturn of the area came when the railway decided that the town of Republic was not necessarily a stop that needed to be made, and they made it a through shot to Tiffin, so it was kind of overlooked. The railroad was the heart of the town and is what the town was built upon. And after it was taken away, the station, it really struggled. So that's where we are today. It's a village. It's got some great restaurants, so I suggest you go check those out. You know, we're keeping it going, so Republic strong, everyone. And that leads us to Chapter 2, The Incident. It was a reportedly cold evening on January 10th, 1887, when a passenger train headed west towards Republic set to reach the station at 2 a.m. The same time, a much slower going freight train was headed east towards Republic, set to also reach the station. But it was supposed to be reaching the station much, much earlier than the passenger train. Whoever was in charge of calculating their arrival time was very wrong, and they were headed right for each other. About a half mile outside of Republic, just after 2 a.m., the two trains met in a fiery, loud crash that woke up mostly everyone in the area, and both trains were smashed just like tin cans. The fire that broke out was just horrendous, and any victims were burned beyond recognition. It was absolutely horrible. One of the engineers was able to jump to his safety, and another was impaled. It was awful. A family that was aboard was carrying their life savings with them. They had just sold their farm and they were headed to a new life. The son and the father were both killed, and the daughter and the mother survived, and they were penniless afterwards, and they had lost their breadwinners. It was absolutely tragic for so many, even those who ended up surviving. There were some cars that carried passengers that were then detached and they were saved, but those that were in the smoker cars is what they were called. There were 2 of them, and approximately 15 people, there's no real way to know, were killed because they couldn't identify or separate the bodies. The bodies then were taken that were unidentified to Republic Town Hall, which still stands today, and they were given a mass funeral thankfully, I mean, at least something was done. And then they were buried in the Republic Cemetery in a grave that is marked and still there to this day. So that'll lead us right into Chapter 3, The Legend. So here's where it gets spooky. After a tragedy like that, it is no wonder some residual energy or some sort of haunting would take place from such a horrific event, especially when people were not in their normal area or where they knew people. They were passengers on a train, obviously, going somewhere else. Right there is your unfinished business. They didn't even reach their destination. It was just completely unexpected and just so sad. So what people say that they see is the lights of a train coming towards them. They hear the whistle of the train, and then a train never materializes. That's one of the forms of the legend. And it's said that this train goes directly by the cemetery, which is where the railroad goes. It goes right through town. The cemetery is off to the left under a viaduct that is right there. That's a whole nother story. The viaduct has some creepy past we might get into. Maybe I'll do a mini video on that. But it said that it goes past there, and maybe that's a salute to it knowing whatever it is, the entity, the train, the people, the souls, knowing that they lay rest there. Maybe they're going by to, or maybe they're stuck. That's another sad thought, that they just don't even know and they're just running back and forth. You know, that's really sad, reliving the event. And some people also say that they see just like lights, like the warning lights, like a red warning light. In 1887, a Tiffin newspaper ran an article where these rail workers said that they saw a woman in white carrying a red warning light on the side of the railroad. And as they approached, when they got there, they could find nothing, no signs of this woman. And that was in the newspaper back then. So that's crazy, because I feel like it was a lot harder to get people to publish or believe things like that back in the day. Not as open-minded, or I don't know, that seems crazy to me. A ghost train, for some reason, just really hits me as scary. And I don't know if it's because trains in general scare people, and they should. Like I said before, you can't stop a train just because you see something in your way. We should all be very cautious and very wary of that. Like when I see people going around the train tracks, I'm just like, stop. I know it's annoying, but it's so dangerous. And people walking on them, stop it. Like, it's not worth it. If you want to try to catch the ghost train, please do not walk on the actual tracks to try to do that. That's crazy. There are lots of stories of people seeing this ghost train. This isn't a one-off. This is very established in such a small area. I remember going out and looking for it as kids when we shouldn't have been, just roaming around the town looking for spooky stuff. Weirdly, I can hear a train outside right now. Perfect timing. Maybe it'll pick it up. Yeah. So that's the Republic Ghost Train. If you have any stories of the ghost train, comment, let me know, send them to me. It's a pretty crazy thing. It's a really big tragedy. I'm surprised we don't hear more about it in this area. Just like historically, you think that the railroad would be a bigger thing. Yeah, so they still rest there in the cemetery, and we wish their souls lots of peace, and I hope that they found it, and that this is just some sort of energy that people see going back and forth, and no one trapped here or any of that sad, spooky stuff. So, until next time, everyone, this has been Haunted Ohio Podcast with LeeAnn Fissel. Stay spooky.